because of what's going on the planet, it has been for a very long time. When I gather individuals together, I always like to affirm that we are gathered on the sacred ground of sovereignty, that we are in a cocoon of what I call guardianship, circle energy, a vortex that's not only protective and shielding, but it's also constantly surveying for any energies that would be disruptive or parasitic by nature, to move them out so that we can be here together in safety, speak truth, listen to one another. And that's what we'll be doing today. So we are meeting on the sacred ground of sovereignty. We each bring our own experiential wisdom. We each bring our own view of the world, and I'm very respectful of that. So I'm going to share a screen, and this is my intention. My name I've given it is Discover. Thinking of new things or being exposed to new ways of looking at what is going on out there in the world. My name is Sharon Raji Maynard. I've been working in the energy field since 1971, more directly with what's going on in physical bodies, emotional, mental bodies since 1989. And I've written a few books. One of them is called, the first one actually is called Remembering Earth Mission, from the Ancient Ones, Keeper of Galactic Secrets. And so a lot of what I share, in fact, pretty much everything of what I share comes from those other off-planet individuals. So we do have a different view of what's going on. My intentions for our time together is to, first of all, acknowledge the situations we're in, recognize what has been done and what has been known, to share information that I was given when I shifted into radical asking. Having been raised in more of a patriarchal system where women's role was just obey and do really good at taking whatever was given to them and obeying, moving into radical asking was a big step for me. I want to give some simple and yet effective proven processes for you as takeaways, and I'll give you a contact. So if you want to know more, explore more, that's where you'll be able to find more about me and connect with me. What I am clear about is who this is for, this particular 2 hours. And by the way, I'm going to cover material. And if we finish early, we finish early. We won't go longer, however. Who this is for is those who are curious, those who are seeking answers beyond the box, those who are concerned about those you love and our world and what's happening today, those who are committed to expand their capacity, being willing to look at different ways, and those who can embrace radical questions and especially radical self-responsibility. That's who this is for. If that is you, welcome, you're in the right place. Who is it not for? It's not for those who are always looking to discount other people, or those who have the right answer and with such black and white thinking there's only that answer. You're either with us or against us. Not for those, that mindset. It's not for those who are looking at what other it is, who is the other that is to blame for the situation. And it's really not for those who find comfort in not knowing, who still like to live a little bit in denial. I don't really want to know that. It's not for you either. And it's not for those who expect that there are others who are going to solve the problem. Others are responsible. And it's and saying the same thing twice. Those who believe that change is in the hands of someone or something beyond you. So if that fits you, welcome. If it doesn't fit you, you're welcome to stay and you may want to. If you feel like you need to leave, that's fine too. Okay. So what's going on out there in the world seems to be getting worse and worse. In fact, one of the pictures that I used in my Facebook posting was a picture that says it's not really that things are getting worse, they're just being exposed. They're pulling back the curtain. And in essence, that's really the case. So when I was first involved with what would be called maybe personal growth way back in the early 80s, I didn't know very much. I knew affirmations. And affirmations were based on change your mind, change your life. And I found that was, that helped. It was helpful. It didn't take me into mind-blowing places, but as a widow, I had 9 children under 13. And so it did help me understand that God did not put me on the planet to be struggling for money all the time. Because I believed, since that's where I was at, I just had to do that well. I had to be really good at struggling with money. And when I understood that I could do an affirmation and somehow that would make a difference for me, like I could be part co-creator, that was a big aha for me. And so back then, affirmations, love and light, portals were opening, planetary things were happening. All of that was going on in the 80s. And it was an exciting time. And it wasn't as bad as it is now. And yet, when I started to entertain the possibility of using crystal chakra balancing to help individuals break free of their own entrapping emotions, psychological, I wasn't dealing with physical disease or things like that back then, but individual pain, individual traps, individual self-sabotage. And we worked with the chakra system, and we worked with crystals and gemstones, and we worked with energy movement. And it was really very good, except my clients would come back a week or 2 or 3 later with the pattern triggered again. And so what it appeared to me is that we were repeating cycles of sabotage. We think we get it and we go forward and it would be a crash. We think we get it, we go forward and we crash. To me, my clients had some amazing ideas and possibilities. I wanted to see them really bring into fruition to make a difference in the world. And again, back then, the world was not at the situation it is now. But nevertheless, all that was being done, the healing techniques, the love and light, attending different openings, my clients were not moving forward. They'd build and crash, and build and crash. By then, I had been working telepathically, because that's my gift. And again, those of you, I should have put, this is also for those who understand that we live in multiple dimensions. We're not just physical beings. So I had been working in multiple dimensions, asking questions from raising my family, because I have 9 kids is a lot when you're alone. And they were those answers were extremely right on for me. So when I added this crystal chakra balancing, I wanted to get some more answers, because I said to those I'd been listening to and getting answers from, my team, I call them, I can see that energy work is powerful. I can see affirmations are powerful, but we keep cycling in pain. Humanity is cycling in pain. And what was being spoken out there in the world was, it's an onion layer. We just have to go through the onion layers. And I said to my team, hey, if there's an onion layer, it's like there's a sliver inside. There's a seed that caused the onion to grow. I want to go to the cause of humanity's cycling in pain. Not my clients, not mine, humanity's cycling in pain. So you tell me where I will go find it. I will go and learn that method. And my team said to me, it's not being done that way on the planet. And I was naive enough to know that I didn't even know what that meant. It wasn't being done on the planet. Going to the cause was not being done on the planet. We were doing onion layers. We were working with symptoms. And it's only, down the road, many, many years, like now I look back and I'm going like, that's huge. We weren't going to cause. We were working with the same symptoms, the onion layers. So I said, okay, what do I do? And they said, we will teach you if that's what you want to do. We will teach you because the information has been hidden and lost, and we'll have to bring. I said, okay, I'm willing. They said, get a notebook, and then we will teach you. We'll bring your clients, questions will come to mind, ask us, and we will show you what's going on, the cause. And so that's where my journey became different. I didn't know it'd be so different than what was being out there in the world. But it was very different. So I knew, and probably most of you do, that the forms in this world don't just pop up from nowhere. They are reflections, or we would call manifestations, of energy held within the unseen. We call it the unseen consciousness. We call it the unconscious realm. Is a multiple dimension of energy fields that we really had to put names to, but because we're not there. We're not there right now. We're in a physical form. And so what is showing up in the world has its beginning. And where does it come from? And that's where, knowing a little bit about affirmations was very, very helpful. And I'm sure I'm not telling you anything new, but this is a model I use a lot. Here's energy, and it's one continuum. Flows, continuing to flow, continuing to flow, continuing to flow. And the very first thing that my teachers, my team said to me was this: you have to understand that there isn't just two worlds. There isn't just earth and then heaven. Because back then it was earth and then heaven. You do the best you can on this earth, and if you get your lessons correct, then you don't have to come back to the earth anymore. You go to heaven, or a light. Earth, lessons hard, learn, and then onto some other place, heaven, light. And they said, so the first thing is that that's not the case. There's not just two worlds. There are literally 8 worlds, or energy, or regions through which humanity, because remember, I asked the cause for humanity. There are 8 worlds through which humanity has flowed, has extended, and now you're in the 8th world, which is earth, physical. And that was the first thing that was very different. And it wasn't that so we're different that it caused me to go like, oh my gosh, what am I into? I was just, oh, okay, let's try it on. So this basically is the model of what I call the Galactic to Gaia Odyssey. Up here in our home source, unformed, all good, all possibility, all power, unlimited, no beginning, no end, energy, flow, colors, numbers, symbols, home, all together, all together. Consciousness is like the drops of the ocean in the ocean. And as an idea came into awareness within that group, particles or consciousnesses or souls coalesced around specific ideas of good to experience a portion of what was possible in our home. So some coalesced around joy, and in those worlds, it was more like color, joy. What would these vibrations feel like if we really embraced those and extended with those? Or what about inner knowing? What would that be like? And extended with that. Or inner peace, or clarity of making a change, like I would call it leadership. So there were 7 families, each of them with an agenda, chosen agenda for experiencing aspects of good that would be of benefit, that would cause thriving. And I want to really emphasize here that every individual on this planet in a physical bodysuit has already chosen to be an aspect of wholeness. We've chosen that. That's why we even extended. Have we gotten trapped in a lot of gunk? Yes, but that doesn't take away our original choice. Our original choice was to experience aspects of our total nature, which is all aspects of good, to be all aspects of good. And we extended as families in group mass consciousness until right in this world, some changes were made that introduced, first of all, a new software program from a family out over on this region who chose to experience what it was like to take the energy of others, to take the creation of others for their own use. This is a domination agenda. It is a parasitic agenda. It is a control agenda. And it's a chosen agenda. And that was a chosen agenda that got invited into our world and began to contaminate, use, and cause damage, trauma, lessening, just like a parasitic does on a host. And see, our energy began to diminish, because it was being taken off by these external family groups. Now, that was hugely different. That was hugely different because I had been told, and everyone in the world that I was involved with was being told that all there was love. Yes, there's fear, but fear, love is just an imbalance. If you're out of balance, you're in fear. When you got back in balance, you're back in wholeness and in love. And what my teachers were saying is that there's a third energy, and it is a literal presence, a broadcasting presence, a radiating presence of domination, usury, voyeurism, greed, etc. And that presence came into our world first by invitation, then by invasion, that many worlds ago, not dimensions ago. So I just sit with that. What we have been dealing with is the 8 regions or dimensions of our body, mind, emotion, spirit paradigm. 8 dimensions. That's this world. It's everything connected to Earth experience. And that's true. That's the regions of frequencies that compose what we call Earth experiences. When a soul enters a physical body suit, it comes into that paradigm. What we're speaking of is things that happened into that soul energy field before there was ever an Earth, before there was ever a physical body. It was part of the energy field in which we existed. And it was extremely, extremely problematic. Well, when I first was exposed to it, I didn't even know what that really meant. but I saw how it showed up in the work of those around me. And this would have been like in the mid-90s and in my work. I had one client who owned a healing center. And it wasn't just a one type of, it wasn't just massage, and it wasn't just Reiki, and it wasn't just acupuncture. It was, it wasn't single focused. Back then we did a lot of single focused, and there was a lot of, I don't dare share my clients with you because then I won't have enough. There was still not enough within the culture in the personal growth field. But this particular owner had gathered together 4 or 5 practitioners with different modalities. I call it integrated. So one focused on the mental release change, some focused on the massage, some were acupuncture, you see. And so we had an integrated practice and encouraged a client to put together a protocol to use each one of them on any particular issue. When you work in energy, you understand that if there is a pattern, I'm not enough, for example, it will show up as a not enough feeling in the emotional body. It will show up as a not enough thought in the mental body. And it will show up in the physical world like people don't listen to you. So when you take a concept and say, I need to change that concept, and you bring in someone who help you in your physical bodysuit, how you can get rid of storage there. How can you change the mental body? How can you release the emotional storage? What you do instead of it taking, like 6 months, if you only used one practice, you might find it turned around in 3 weeks. It collapses the time it takes. So here's this client, this owner of this clinic, and he had clients coming with issues, and he was putting them through an integrated practice, and his clients were becoming freed of that entrapping energy concept, freed of their box faster. And then everything in his business began to fall apart, falling apart, strange things happening. And so someone said, go see Sharon. She'll be here. I traveled in and out. And as soon as he walked through the door, what I heard in my head, it was like I saw flashy lights like this: attack, 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 attack. And I said, oh, I don't know for sure what that means, because I'm learning. I'm sharing with you this, the end, but this is the progression. At that point, I didn't know what that meant. Got him on the table, because I worked on a massage table, did some asking, pulled in his guides, did my work, and what they said to me, his guides and his team said to me, his work is drawing the attention of those in the unseen worlds who do not want people to be free. I said, okay, what do we do? And they said, well, we're going to put together a more intense and complete shield about not just protection, but beyond that, because it's not, in the past, to survive, we'd stay small, we hide our light, we keep ourselves away from things, we kind of hide in various ways. That's how we had done it in the past. But he's already big. And so we put together a different process. And I said, now tell me what you're talking about. Who is monitoring? Who is watching? And that's when they took me back to that invasion point, again, in the third world, right here, where those whose agendas were to control, to manipulate, to use other people's energy were introduced, so that we had love and fear, duality, but then we had a third component called domination agenda. And they said those with the domination agenda are alive and well, alive and well, alive and well, and now they're showing up in the forms of sabotaging this particular clinic. So what does that mean? What does that mean in our world today? On this planet, planet Earth, there is the law of manifestation. And the law of manifestation says that if any construct, any vibrational construct, if it's a thought, an emotion, a storage, a pattern, a chosen story, if that exists in your energy field, it's going to show up in your life. That's the law. It cannot stay hidden. So if there's a thought, doesn't matter where it came from. Usually they come in and you aren't even conscious of them until you are aware and you start putting them in with intention. So if there is a construct in your energy field, it's like a seed and it will grow. It will expand. It will become bigger. That's the law. Some people call it the law of attraction. No, it's the law. Something in your field will become something in your life. It might be in thought. It might be a behavior. It might be an emotion. It might be a person. It might be a situation. That's the law. And the law was put in place as we planned to come onto this planet because we participated in the plan for this planet. We, meaning souls who are on physical bodysuits, every one of you and me, a soul in a physical bodysuit, we participated in making a plan that we now call Earth, including incarnation, including the ups and downs, including contracts we have with one another. And the reason we did that is so that the energies from those agendas of any kind of domination, control, parasites of any kind would be under the law of manifestation and could no longer hide. In the other world's energy, and that song could be sung with a really pretty tone, but the undercurrent of I'm going to trap you could slip away quickly. We needed a way as a group, as a family groups, to identify the vibrational seeds, the vibrational presence, the vibrational influences that were destroying us in order to save our life. Because if we couldn't identify the vibrational presence of domination, parasitic usury, we would die. It's the nature of the host. So the reason we're here on this planet is to have energy made visible, especially energy of domination made visible. Purpose of the planet. Now, why would we make it visible? It's not that we called in things that weren't already there. We needed to see what was there in order to eliminate what was destroying us, you see. Otherwise, we would be destroyed. The nature of a parasitic presence is that it will suck the host dry, and the host will be left basically dead, and the parasitic presence will go somewhere else. It's like the story I often use in class is a story of if I were in Africa and I had seen a baby elephant that was amazing, so absolutely lovely. I wanted to bring him home, and I have a little bit of land. Why not? So I bring the elephant home, and everybody loves the elephant. He's just doing his thing. A year later, I can have no garden because the elephant goes everywhere. It tromps everywhere. I can't keep a door in place because he breaks down because he wants to be by me. It doesn't work. Is the elephant bad? No, it's an elephant. I made the mistake of inviting that elephant into my home before I vetted the consequences. And so without vetting, without some way of discerning, elephants, parasitics were invited into our space, and then they began to show up for what they were: parasitics, dominators, greed, violence. Anything that they needed to use to dominate in order to use, they did. Just like this elephant would always be an elephant. The best thing I can do for the elephant is have it lovingly taken back to its extensive place and family, to be the elephant in elephant land. That would be the best. So here we are, we're divine star beings, we're souls, we are brilliant, we are creators of solutions, and we created a way to make the energy frequencies slow down enough that we could say, aha, now we hear that off tone, now we sense that off feeling, now we are identifying, so that we can say, there it is right there. We're going to move this particular package vibration harmonic that is singing at the frequency of domination back to its home where it was created. That was the plan and remains the plan. Now, the law of manifestation says, if something is in your energy field, it will manifest. It will slow the energy down, and now it's a little, get a twinkle in your intuitive. Something's there. If you don't pay attention to the intuitive, oh, that's too small, I don't know what, it becomes an emotion. And if you don't go like, wait a minute, what's that emotion? Is it serving me? What's it telling me? If we don't pay attention to the emotional language, it slows the energy down further, and it becomes a mental thought or a memory. It's slower. And if we don't stop and say, wait a minute, where did that thought come from? Or wait a minute, where will that thought take me? We don't vet. Just ignore. And pretty soon it's going to show up in our world, in our life. It might show up in our body. It might be a pain in our shoulder. It might be knees that don't work really well. Eventually, it could be cancer. It could be heart disease. Or it could show up in our life, and we keep having car accidents, or we keep having bosses that don't value us. You see, the law of manifestation. If we don't get it, if we don't get the message that something is in our field, make a choice. If we don't get that and make a choice, that seed is going to become bigger and bigger and bigger. Do you understand that what's going on in the world today is telling us that we in these bodies who are charged with discerning, who are charged with making the choice that says there is something that is not feeling right here. There's an influence. It might be a mind thought. It might be a frequency. It might be a broadcasting. It might be somebody on somebody's back. But something's off. Whatever that is that's off, we have been brainwashed, truly brainwashed, to believe that it is us, that it's our shadow part, therefore it's you. It's not. We've been brainwashed to believe that energy working in the unseen, is like woo-woo Pollyanna, ineffective. It's not. Because the only way to eliminate the frequencies that are coming from agendas of domination is with those who have spiritual eyes more clear and discerning than we have in this body. I'm going to say that again. The only way, and we planned it that way, we in the physical body have the sensations, but was intended always that we remember that we have off-planet beings, teams, immensities, who have been charged with the abilities to, when we say something is off in that thought process or in that reasoning or in that message, don't know what it is, that doesn't feel quite right. That's the sensings at a very subtle level, that we have the charge to connect with beings off planet. And in my work, I call that team the PTO. That's the team I've vetted, and I'll share with you. I've vetted to be able to say, PTO, I don't know what that is over there, but something feels off. I place it in your hands, deep 6. PTO, something over here feels off. I place it in your hands, deep 6. And that team then will absolutely respond to us. Ask and you will receive. But if you don't know what to ask, if you've been told that is Pollyanna, if you've been told it's ridiculous work, you'll never ask. Now, who would you think would want you to believe that you aren't powerful, that you have to have your elected officials do it, that you have to have your pastor do it, that you have to have your husband do it, or your wife do it, or somebody else do it? Who do you think would have you asking at this level to get free? Except, and not this level where the power lies. The deceptions we've been taught, the things that have been hidden from us. So the purpose of Earth is to make energy slow enough to be discerned, to be discerned as an intuitive hit, as an emotion, as a thought or memory, as a physical sensation or an event in our life. Why? So that we can say, is that something that we want to keep? Does that benefit us? Is that helping humanity? Is that expanding our benefit? Vetting it? No. Then what do? Call in the PTO. You go directly up and say, PTO, check this out. It seems to me there's something in it. There's some influence in it that is causing or would cause harm. And that team has the ability to contain the space, to go through like, combing your hair, combing your hair, combing your hair. Where are there elephants? Where are there tangles? What doesn't belong in a vibrational field that's whole, that's brings benefit? And they can identify frequencies you will never identify because we're in a physical body, we're limited. So you call in the PTO, you call them in and say, take this situation, I don't know what it is, deep 6 it, take it, deep 6 it. I give it over to you. And that's what we intended. And as you can see in the world, we haven't done our job yet. That's all. We haven't done our job yet. There's a similar thing happens in our physical bodies. In the physical body, we have a thing called a foreign cell called cancer that can appear. And because in those bodies where the immune system, which is a lot of us, the immune system doesn't recognize cancer as a foreign danger. It doesn't recognize cancer as a foreign danger. And because it doesn't recognize cancer as a foreign danger, cancer's rampant. Cancer's rampant. When I was young, cancer happened rarely. Now it happens mostly. The immune system has lost the ability to identify a foreign object as a danger, to activate the immune system to remove the danger. So we bring in chemo or we bring in surgery or whatever. But the base problem is the same as what's going on in our world today. That T cell, which is you, isn't recognizing the energy as a foreign danger, but all of a sudden there's a cancer. And we go like, oh my gosh, here's this form. And I'm not going to put names to it because those forms are all over the place. Here's this form, and I'm going to yell at the form. I'm going to tell people about the form. I'm going to warn them about the form. But it doesn't make the form go away. The forms of pedophilia have not gone away. The forms of domestic violence have not gone away. The forms of war on women have not gone away. Witch hunts have not gone away. All of those are coming from agendas designed to control and dominate, and so people can be used, and they haven't gone away because the T cells of the body, us souls, especially in female bodysuits, have been so diminished, tortured, killed, smashed that we forgot and lost that voice of authority that says, something's wrong here. I don't know what it is. PTO, deep six, check this out. We are the T cells and we have been dismantled, discarded, made fun of. You're too emotional. And that's what's coming back just in the last 20 years. So I'm going to stop right now and take just any questions you have. And I'm going to put I'm just changing how I'm seeing the gallery view. So if you have any questions, feel free to just unmute. And it'd be good if you don't have, and again, because, oh, and thank you, Michelle. I am definitely going to talk about the PTO and what that stands for in just a minute. So that's one question. And you can put the questions in chat. That would be fine too. So let's just open the floor and what comes to mind? What comes up for you?
Yes. Can you hear me, Sharon?
I can, Juana.
Okay. So there's approximately 7 billion of us on the planet right now. And that's a lot of energy.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say that the percent of us are even vaguely aware of this domination theory,
Uh-huh.
or to deal with it? I mean, that's a lot of domination throughout the globe. And we're seeing it right now with the pandemic, or as I call it, the planned-demic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it's invasive. It's ruining lives, and I mean, it's just horrible what's going on right now.
Got it. Thank you, Juan. I'm going to answer that question. There's the two in the chat I'm going to answer. But if you have questions, we'll do that. We'll continue this. I always ask, because my gift is to be telepathic and just to ask the question and listen. That's my gift. And my gift, I have chosen to use it to help people be free of that entrapment. So when you say 7 billion people on the planet, what percentage are aware enough, even of the domination? Well, okay, I'm going to clarify that, because what I'm talking about here is being aware of domination and what to do about it. That's different than those who know about domination and don't know what to do about it.
Right.
Okay. Because that's two different camps. Okay. So what percentage of 7 billion are aware of the domination and know how to effectively, powerfully and effectively rid it from the planet, because that's my role. We're going to rid it from the planet, put it back to where it belongs. The elephant goes back to Africa. And I'm just sitting here with, so about 3%, about 3%. Now, does that feel like to you like, oh my gosh, we'll never do it? Let me tell you the law. In those other worlds, they're all mass consciousness, it's group mind, it's consensus, it's the 100th monkey. We've got to be together. We've got to have enough people together that we're going to make a difference. That is what is true in the world beyond Earth. We knew that if we were going to save our lives, we could not function that way. It would be too slow. This planet functions on the law of manifestation, yes, and personal choice. One person asking will be answered. One person asking. We do not function on 100th monkey. Now, if there were 12 people asking, does that expand? Yes, but it's not the 100th monkey that you need this much percentage before you flip. That's not true. That's the other worlds we've come from. This world, one person alone, seeing, saying, and naming it and calling in the help from the unseen brings in billions from the unseen. The amount of beings in the unseen willing and ready and prepared to help us far outnumber the individuals on this planet, by far. So this is where our power lies, and it lies with one voice, yours or mine or anyone's. And I've seen it over the last 25 years be absolutely true. So there's that. So I hope that you get the sense that you are the power, you. And you start with wherever you start. You've probably been seeing it. Now you know what I'm going to leave you with things. What do you do? The other question coming from Lisa Marie, and this is a good one too, Lisa Marie, is this domination energy in all humans? This domination exists throughout the humanity's biofield. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you believe in reincarnation, you could say in other lifetimes, even you may have been enslaved or marked or tagged or trapped, so that you bring that ownership hook, if you will, in with you to this lifetime. There's an influence. There is absolutely hooks that we find that are being eliminated. And so every person really has been vulnerable to parasitic attachments or influence. Absolutely. So that means, and what that means, every idea, the same thing. So let's say that there's an amazing idea of we're going to get these people together and we're going to collapse time and we're going to make a powerful get people clear project. That energy coming from heart, wisdom, love, from all the good stuff would be, as soon as it was seen for the power that it could bring, it would attract a parasitic influence to either be crushed by it or be co-opted by it. There are good projects out there that have been co-opted, influenced, so they're not quite what they had, the original had intended them to be. And that's where the PTO is so important, because you might see a person speaking and all of a sudden you go like, I don't know, that feels really weird to me. What he's saying feels really weird to me. Can't put my finger on it. For those who have the ability to see, and I say to them, look behind and see what you see behind the body. It's not uncommon for them to see this attachment, like speaking through them. It's really, there's an influence, there's an energy influence, and it's not the person, but in that moment, there's being influenced. So what do? You just say, hey, PTO, I want you to put that person into a cocoon of protection and clearing. I turn that person over to you, deep six, the energy, so that whatever is parasitically coming in to influence is moved out, which leaves the project idea shiny, clear, on target. You have, we have to be willing. I even, still, and I've been doing this for like 30 plus years. Every once in a while, I'll say to an idea or a feeling that comes to me that feels like, okay, that's a great idea. I ask the energy of the idea, are you of my light? Because a good idea can also be coming from not from a parasitic agenda to take you off track. So being willing to say, like, every once in a while, wow, that didn't feel quite right. Energy, are you of my light? Though what I find is those outsiders will be honest, and they'll either say no, or they'll not answer, or they'll go like, well, maybe, wishy-washy. All of those answers mean no, there's something in that energy field that is in an invasive domination type energy. So what do? You just say, PTO, I don't know what this is, not of my light, doesn't feel right. I turn it over to you, deep six. So it's an energy flow. I mean, where are there boundaries for energy? When you breathe, whose breath are you breathing? Whose residue are you breathing in? You see, when you're planting crops next door to a neighbor who's using all kinds of chemicals, is there any kind of boundary that says his chemicals don't go on your plants? No, we're in a very toxic world. It's nothing to be afraid of, but and the more you know, the more proactive you can be. So I hope that answers your question there. PTO does go directly to source. Let me explain to you what I was told when, again, going back to the clinic where this fellow was being attacked. He was a man who had the clinic. He was being attacked. And there was a lot of prayers being done for him, etc. And I said, what's going on here? And they said, you have to understand that these energies, these agendas are looking for light so they can usurp it. They are looking for love so they can usurp the energy. Love, light, purple flame, pink flame, all of the things we know, white light is extremely effective on the energies of our natural divine energies that are out of whack. That's that love fear. If our vibrations stay clear, we stay clear, but sometimes we are just in fear for whatever reason. And love, light, purple flame, all that will bring those energies back into balance to our agenda. Outsider parasitics are not out of balance. They're the elephant. They are being the elephant. Love and light is what they feed on, as well as fear. So those concepts have no impact other than helping fuel them. So it doesn't mean don't use love. It doesn't mean that. It means, in addition, bring in the PTO that can then identify what is outsider domination frequencies to harm, and that can be moved out, and then the field comes into balance or back into sovereignty. Source is where we came from, and it has no agenda. That's that wholeness. You can bring that in, but it doesn't have an impact on the outsiders for the same reason. They aren't out of balance. They had every right to choose that agenda. They'd had that right, and that's what they're doing. So going directly to source is not the answer. In source are all the possibilities, and what we've done in our galactic family's great creative brilliance is we have called for specific processes, specific teams to get a solution, which is get ourselves back to sovereignty, meaning no outsider domination, parasitic energies in our space. I hope that is sufficient there. Okay, PTO, what does that stand for? It doesn't stand for anything. It's a title. Again, when my work started to draw attention, I was shown in several dreams, etc., that I needed to know more than I knew. So I had already had this experience of the clinic, but I hadn't applied it to my work that much. But then I was told, you better darn well apply it to your work, because we were also breaking people free in even bigger ways. So one evening when I went to my room, there was a group of off-planet souls that I could only see. I saw as dots of light, and they were dots of light seen in this field. Eyes open, eyes closed, didn't matter. And the message, they said, we have the ability to remove those energies that are entrapping humanity, something like that. And I went, okay. I turned to my team. I'd been with them for more than 20 years and vetted this new group. You don't invite people, unseen beings, into your space just because they're unseen beings. I vetted them and said to my team, do you know and can see these beings and where they're from? They said, we do. We know of them. We know where they're from. I said, should I listen to them, to their idea? And they said, we strongly suggest you do. And so these souls came with great sensitivity, so they could identify frequencies that we in our souls going through those 8 dimensions had been so dulled down or dumbed down. It was easy to deceive us, where this group had never allowed themselves to be minimized or dumbed down. Their sensitivity was really high, so they could identify the frequencies, the harmonics at any level of those dominating agenda beings. And they said, if you would like, we'll come in and help move them back to their home. I'd never heard of that before, because what we had been doing up until now is kind of shield and keeping small, doing the work undercover. So I said, okay. So we put together what I call the Pto Team. I don't know why, but I liked how it sounded. And it included beings from off planet, those that had the sensitivity and the ability. We brought in what I call Plutonian energy souls who could hold space, so that we could say that space over there feels, oh, there's something off. That space was immediately frozen in time, if you will, so that it could be identified, cleaned, and then released back into light. So they had a Plutonian group. We had these beings of dot from an off planet, and we had healers from my tag work, the 3 components. So when we say call in the tag team, it's those beings, and there are billions of them now trained in groups who listen, hear your request. They have to be requested. That's the law on this planet. Personal request, personal choice. We call them in, we invite them to check out this energy. It's frozen. Anything of outsider domination is neutralized, gathered up like an octopus, brought in, and that energy taken back to their original source. They will never come out again. They don't come out anymore with agendas of harm. They can rethink, they can come out with agendas to benefit, but they can no longer come out with agendas to harm. And also they don't slip away and go over in another part of your world or somebody else's world to harm someone else. So any other questions? Sandra, pretty correctly. I didn't even know what it meant, deep six, but that, but it does have does have a nautical meaning, I understand. So deep six is just a term, and I could have used any term, but that's what I used. So any other questions before I do a little bit more? I'm watching the chat. So what do you do? Well, if you walk away with just a few things, if you walk away with understanding Earth mission, at least enough about it to understand Earth mission this is not a test. It is not to learn. It's not for you to prove that you're good enough or to heal where you're not good enough. That's not the purpose of Earth mission. There's been so much damage that certainly healing is needed and certainly finding yourself is needed, but that was not the original purpose of Earth mission. The purpose of Earth mission is to have a platform, a place in which energy would be made discernible or visible. So we had to have a place where we weren't just songs and harmony and floating colors. We had to have a place that slowed down until we could see what there is a particle of outsider influence. There is a seed, there is a thought, there is a plan. So that we could see where there was the outsider presence, call for help to have that outsider presence contained, neutralized, and removed back to where it came from, way out of our space, totally out of our space. So the first step for Earth mission was to eliminate outsider energy of any kind that was dominating, parasitic, so that we could return our energy field to sovereignty, which means wherever we had damage, wherever we were still fearful, we could get that aligned. That which has kept us trapped and caused us thinking of we're not enough, thinking that woo-woo doesn't work, thinking that women need to be controlled or ought to be controlled. That comes directly from an outsider agenda who needs those things in place, who needs us weakened in order that we are being used. So the mission is identify. You can look anytime out there, every day in the world. In our day and time, it's gotten so large because we haven't been able to get back to what it was we were here to do. And so those seeds have grown into mammoth forests. So any day you could look out in a newspaper, look on social media, and you could see discussions or events that you can go like, whoa, ask the question, is that coming from a seed of bringing benefit? Is that coming from seed that is causing expansion of good? And if the answer is no, then you just call in the PTO and say, I'm going to be political here. Place the Republican Party in the hands of the divine PTO team, deep six, what's in their field that is parasitic vibrations. PTO, place the Democratic Party in the hands of your teams to go through their energy fields and eliminate all that is of domination agenda. You could do it on anything because it's everywhere, and especially in culture of, you can see it in the education structure, you could see it in the judicial structure, you can see it in the economic structure, you could see it in Afghan, you could see it everywhere. And you don't have to figure out, is that 10% or is it 100%? It's if it feels off, if it feels like in some way it's taken good and made it over here, heading toward trab or the possibility of trab. PTO, take this concept, and I turn it over to you with deep six. Stay with that whole concept until there is no parasitic vibrations left. So it's everywhere still. And we've made great progress, even though it doesn't look like it maybe in your world. Energetically, I can see it. It's like I don't want to use the word battle, but it's like the last vestiges, the biggest vestiges are still here. Great. You see it. Use your discernment, use your authority to say something's off there. Don't know what it is. Something in there. PTO, take this concept, take this event, take deep six it, and turn it over to them. That's our job. That's our job. So knowing that Earth's purpose is to clear all the cultures and the beginning cultures, the agendas of that which has and would destroy us. That's the purpose of Earth. Seeing it is why you're in a bodysuit, so you will discern it. You'll have an intuitive hit, you'll have an emotional feeling, you'll have a thought, you'll have something in your world. That's why you're in the bodysuit, to see what would or is destroying the planet. Why? Not to watch the planet go under, but to say, connect me to the PTO, connect me to my team, connect me to the heavens. And I say, not in my world, not acceptable, deep six, whatever is causing this feeling that I'm getting here. You see? So some of the processes that are really simple to use, and you can try them on, and I'm going to give you a contact. So if you don't have questions, try it on and see where you go. Having toolboxes is what is different about us and our grandmothers, great-great-grandmothers. The toolboxes for this work was taken from women 300,000 years ago. 300,000 years ago. That left us in harem, it left us in witch, it left us in a violence abuse, it left us in rape, it left us having our children ripped away, it left us in blood sacrifice, it left us in so many awful things because it was ripped away. And all of our maternal line did what they could do to survive. They stayed small, they stayed silent. Some of them screamed so loud and they were tortured, but they did what they had to do to keep the generations going till we could get back to our voice, to the answer. And that's where we're at now. You live in amazing times. So the tools that I'm going to leave you with are these. If you sense anything that's off, or even a thought that comes in, or even a pain, I'll tell you right now, for females, this throat is a big deal. Womb, solar plexus is a big deal. That's where a lot of damage has been done. Vagina, and voice and vision shut down. So anything in those areas you might feel pain about, situations out there in the world coming at you. The first process is just to sit quietly and say, and ask, say, I'm speaking to the energy. You're speaking to that energy that you're sensing or hearing. And you're saying, are you of my light? And you be quiet and you wait for a sense of yes or no. And if you hear whatever you hear, just let it be. Then ask the second time, are you of my light? Sit, yes or no. Third time, are you of my light? And listen. that energy has to answer you honestly. So you might get 3 no's, which is pretty darn clear. Or you might get silence that says no. Or you might go like, well, maybe, let me think about it. A wishy-washy, that is a no. So if whatever you're sensing or feeling, that would be one tool. Are you of my light? And if the answer is no, then PTO, this energy might be my throat pain, something there is not of my light. PTO, deep 6, what's there? There's one time that I had to do a lecture and it was an hour drive. As soon as I got in my car, my throat I couldn't even fathom the pain that was there. Never been there. So I just said, are you of my light? It took me 1 hour and it was like there was a pain here and then a pain here and then a pain. Each was gone, but there was so much stored, so much damage done in other lifetimes to my throat that it took me an hour asking that question as I was driving. When I got to my location, totally gone. I've already told you about the PTO teams and deep 6, a very powerful technique. And it can be used, and you're not going to make a mistake with any of this, because if you feel something's off, you don't have to go like, maybe I'm wrong. No, err on the side of caution. You can say, hey, PTO, I don't know what's going on over there. I don't know what is being messed with over there. I don't know if it has anything to do with outsider. It just feels something strange. I want you to go in there and deep 6 it. It'll be contained, neutralized. Anything that's of light will be expanded. Everything that will be of outsider energy will be removed back to its home of beginning. And the other thing to recognize, because this is the law, on this planet is the law of personal choice. That's why you can ask and you'll be answered. Personal choice, one person alone is all that's needed. Well, when you go to change your life, you've learned, I'm sure you've heard of affirmations. And I use that concept, but I use it with what I call a reality statement and a reality shift. So what's the outcome you want? What's the outcome we want? We live in a world whose cultures, environments are built upon agendas to bring good into the entire web of life. Isn't that what we want? We live in a world, in cultures whose agendas is to bring good into the entire web of life. Now that's a statement, it's like an affirmation, but here's the shift. Call in your teams. We work with, when you begin working with off-planet teams, spiritual teams, whether you call them angels, ascended masters, archangels, Palladians, whatever they're part of our power, they're part of our family. So you say to your team, move my consciousness and the consciousness to everyone I'm involved with in love into that reality. We immediately have our energy moved into that reality. And then we say to our team, deep 6, take that field, deep 6, anything that would keep it from us. So immediately, proactively clearing. Now we have teams that have helped design our bodysuit, who have helped design your life plan. I call them causal team. Design causal team. Create a program, like a software program for me and all who I'm connected to in love, for our highest experience of that choice. So we get the program designed, download it into our energy fields, because it's the entire group, down into anchored in our first dimension, right down at the bottom of that spiral. and loaded into the fifth dimension, which is kind of the mind emotion area, loaded into our first dimension of the hard drive or the landscape for this lifetime experiences. And now you've chosen it, which is your responsibility. You've asked for it to be cleared. You've asked for it to be designed. You've asked for it to be downloaded, anchored, and activated. And so it is. So my hope for you is that you have gone, you're going away with something to think about, maybe some expansion beyond that. All you need is love. In this case, all you need is not just love. Love does a job, but it doesn't clear or remove the agenda beings who need to be taken back to Africa. That's the problem. That's what we've missed. You are not the cancer on this planet. What you see in the world is not the shadow part of humanity. It is a separate being, separate energy. So I'm going to open for the field, and I see Wanda, you have your hand up. So, and anybody else, you can either put your question into the chat and or raise your hand. Wanda?
So, Sharon, I would like to ask something very specific that I am myself dealing with, and which a lot of people, I would say millions, are dealing with right now. In my particular instance, I'm an actor who cannot go on set unless I'm vaccinated. I will not get vaccinated. I'm sorry, but that is my choice over my body. I have sovereignty over my body. However, the powers that be that are in control are saying that for the common good, you must be vaccinated. Common good is their common good. It's not mine. It's not millions of other people's common good. So is this similar to your analogy of the Republicans and Democrats, where you would call out specific world leaders and say what do you do with this?
That's a good question. It's a very good question. I'm going to take you back to the early 2000s, when I was made aware that our government was taking microbes that had certain qualities and weaponizing that microbe for the use in war. So the microbe itself was an organic expression of what was beneficial in its place. It was beneficial in its place because it had some good qualities. It was being co-opted or weaponized or influenced. So here's its vibrational song. A vibrational song is one of good and benefit in what its job was to do. So it had an original agenda of benefit and good, but it was being artificially weaponized, or in other words, new programs put into it, like little software programs put into that microbe. So now it was off balance, but doing a job not for good of all, using its good nature, but it had been twisted. So when we were made aware of that, and I've been working with lots of teams and circles on planet, off planet, what we did is we spent a weekly meeting together to talk to the core of the microbe. That it was like, oh my gosh, I've been twisted. I've been twisted. And we went, we got you. We hear you. We are going to strengthen that vibration of good that you are, and we are going to do what we need to do to neutralize the vibrations that have been imposed on you that would bring harm. And it took us, I can't remember, several months till we got that completed. So the reason, I mean, I think it's the same thing has happened to our soul members, our star families in bodysuits. If you are in a bodysuit, you are here playing a role to get rid of outsiders, but you have a core of good harmonics. And so some of those in leadership positions, as well as everywhere, there's that core of I am a good person. I love people. I want the good. And then we have the mind control, the influence of outsider domination forces. And we haven't had that discernment to, none of us, to be able to say, well, wait a minute, that's not mine, move it out. We've lost that so long ago that we all are at the whim of mind control processed. And so what you do in that case, Juana, is you go like, here is a decree that has been set down, and everybody gets to make a choice as to what they're going to do about it, and you have. But that's only the first level. What you'll want to do is understand it. In that decree, there's good and there's influence. You do not know what's the influence. You don't know what is good. The good there is like, we want everybody to be safe. There's good in that. But what is the influence? You don't know. That's when you say, PTO, I'm making the choice to not do masks or not do vaccinations, whatever. And therefore, I'm taking the consequences of what is real, but I'm not leaving it at that. I'm calling in the PTO, and I'm going to focus your attention on this solution to clear anything in this solution that may be coming from outside domination wanting to entrap humanity forces. Turn it over to them and keep working on them. And you have to deal with your own choice and the consequences from your choice. And then you watch to see what changes. You see, it's twofold. Something comes at you, you make a choice about it, you're going to take the repercussions of it because that's what's real. But where do you go to make the change is you go to the PTOs and you say, I want that cleared. So only left is that which is going to be beneficial. Forms are coming together that are a mixture of good and control. And we need to get rid of the control so that all that's left is what's good. And how long will that take? For some of the smaller, simpler personal things, I've seen turn around very quickly. Like within a month, all of a sudden it's going like, oh yeah, that didn't make sense. I'm going to change that. But when it's so entrenched as we have in our world today, it might take 3 months, 5 months, it might take a year. And you don't stop calling and cleaning until you feel like it's done. And in the meantime, yes, the consequences of whatever is the law is going to be in place, and there will be others marching, petitioning, doing their piece, and those are all good pieces too. But all of that without having the authority voice eliminate what is entrapping, all of these others are just going at the symptom. It's not, they shouldn't. Yes, that's going to help, but this is where the power lies. So it doesn't matter what the situation is, you make a choice, you live with the choice, but you call in the team and saying, this is, I'm doing my choice, I'm making my statement with my choice, but we need to change and clear out anything that is parasitic domination, control by nature. And that's the piece I add.
So that gets me to another question, which is, as I said in this original question, what is one person's common good is not another person's common good. So am I hearing you correctly when you talk about what is beneficial, that is truth, so that what you're doing is you're calling in from the higher realms. The PTOs know the truth of what is beneficial and what is a good common good, because you know, there's two sides to this.
In energy frequencies are harmonic and reflective of what the original families chose. So I'm going to share this screen with you again. We all who are souls, what we call out from star families, came from star families that chose an agenda based on an aspect from home, and home is balance, it's harmony, it's wellness, so common good. That's what exists there. So each of those families said, I'm going to bring out this particular song, which is all kinds of harmonics about joy, that has specific signature, it has specific harmonics. It has its own resonance and nature. That's what's chosen up here, is different aspects of all possibilities of good. And all of those are like little software programs, that are little seeds, like a tulip knows how to be a tulip. Rose knows how to be a rose. But when you bring in the outsider energy of twisting the frequencies so that I use them for myself, now that is a specific signature too. And it's that signature that the PTO teams know how to identify and remove, so that what is left are the songs, the signatures that are reflective of what was chosen eons, and even before life on this planet. So this is, you know, when I say common good, what I'm really speaking of is these agendas: joy, love, benefit, peace, inner knowing, working together for the good of all. All of those are the basic, deep nature, the harmonics, deep within every star member. There's been a lot of crippling. Outsiders have been part of that. And it's those energies that are being removed when you call in the PTO. And when that energy's left, and then the healing back to harmonic of what we chose, that's what I'm calling common good.
Okay, so there is a truth. That is the truth.
You could call it truth. I call it original agenda. That's what we chose as an original agenda. So, and it was like worlds ago.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you, Juana. So there you go, my friends. If you know, just using Are You of My Light, Deep Six, reality statement can give you a different platform on which to stand and interact with what you see going on out there in the world. And I'd love to hear from any of you. If you know questions, on my website, which is SharonRajiMaynard.com. There's links to information, but there's also a link if you want to schedule a personal chat. I'm always open for that too. So anything else that would like to be put into questions before we close? I'll just give a moment. And thank you all for being present. And like I said, like, it doesn't require that this is not a 100th monkey world. It is a one person speaking and calling for help. And the help is PTO. These beings don't belong here. And they will be moved. They aren't destroyed. They aren't put to death. It's not a punishment. It's like they are the elephant that I brought to my land. It doesn't work. The elephant can be taken back to their land then they are better off, as am I. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I love to see your faces.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, everyone.